Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. This is your Breakfast Bankroll for December 24th, Saturday, Christmas Eve. 1 day till Santa comes, and hopefully everyone was naughty. Oh, no, not naughty. How about nice? Some naughty, some nice, some a little bit of everything. But blessed today on Monday, our good friend and colleague, B2B, joined us from Miami. Today, actually, yesterday, we were going to go live from NYC, and Cape Cod had no power. My studio was dark for most of the day. 3 inches of rain, hurricane winds, power lines, trees down. We're back, so I reached out to B2B and said, how about today? He has blessed us from New York City after the Panthers game last night to talk some NFL. Oh, we only really got some NFL today, one bowl game, but, tomorrow a little NBA, a little college hoops. But we want to just get you ready for the weekend, get you ready for the holidays, and then, God willing, maybe on Monday when he gets over to Pennsylvania, we'll circle the wagons and come back. But without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only B2B.
What's going on, Jeff?
Good morning, sir.
It's Fort Lauderdale and Long Island, not Miami and New York City, but
Fort
almost
Lauderdale,
the same thing.
Long Island. At least I didn't say South Beach, right?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale and Miami are two entirely different almost countries, but now I'm up in this beautiful 6-degree weather. Can't really beat it.
Yesterday and the night before, it was 55 degrees. It was beautiful. Then came the storm. Then came the heavy rains. Wake up this morning to 10 degrees and a sheet of ice. We did get some light snow. So it's ugly out there. And anyone back east in Long Island or anywhere on that eastern seaboard, bundle up and just be careful out there because everyone is in a hurry to go nowhere.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean, the walk back to the car last night at the Islanders game was pretty brutal. I mean, it was only a couple hundred yards, but it felt like miles with the minus 20-degree wind chill. So it's about a 70-degree difference from South Florida. So not very fun if you're not used to it.
Especially, for you, whether you're back in Florida, you tiptoe to Vegas, you're at the Bahamas. I mean, these East Coast trips, I don't even think you have the proper gear to survive a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of jackets and stuff. Unfortunately, they get dusty, because they don't get much use. And this time, I just happened to, I put all my jackets in the dryer for like 15 minutes to get all the cat hair off them in my house, and of course I left them in the dryer. I didn't remember to take them out before I left, so I've got a bunch of sweaters and stuff. So that'll hold me over. It's a good thing I'm not hanging out outside, or I'd be in trouble. And it's not really snowing, it's just cold, so it's not really too bad. I'm in the garage right now, because we have like 3 kids here right now. So I got the garage isn't heated, but I've got a little space heater next to me, so it's making it doable.
Well, we can't thank you enough. The NFL today, that's all we're hearing is cold, cold weather. I know the Cleveland game. I just want to double check that number. Yeah, the under over is 32. They're comparing the Cleveland game uh, to the Buffalo Patriot Monday Nighter, where the Patriots threw it 3 times. They got that wind, that crosswind, where you're not going to be able to throw the ball. Cold, cold, and more cold. I know they talked about the Bills game at Chicago being probably the second coldest game in the history there, the coldest in 61 or something like that. Again, just the 1 o'clock. So, how do you go about tackling a board like this? It's the holidays. I know everyone wants to play some games. I get all that. And I've been studying this board since Sunday night, Monday. How do you approach games? I mean, do you dig into the props or what do you do, B2B?
Yeah, I look at more of the props than like the totals because I think people overplay their hand too much when it's just cold weather. They just assume like, oh, the game's gonna go under, right? Because there's gonna be no scoring. But for me, like I think bad weather, whether it's wind, rain, cold, snow, I think bad weather can help totals just as much as hurt them because it creates turnovers. It can create short fields, right? Say in Chicago, you're punting from your own end zone today. You might only punt it 25 yards, so that it can create a lot of short fields and stuff. So like today, I mean, for example, like in the Bills game, I mean, I don't think they're gonna be throwing it too much, right? Like I'm sure Josh Allen will still throw it, 15, 20 times because he's got a strong arm. But I mean, I like Josh Allen rush, all the Josh Allen rush totals I can get. It's 50.5. I mean, he's got 705 yards rushing on the season. And, this is an ideal time for him to, run the ball, rest his elbow, don't throw it too much, rest the elbow, run the ball because he's going to run the ball anyways. So I like, Josh Allen rush yards over today. I like Josh Allen to score a touchdown also. I think, he'll probably want to take the ball into his own hands, kind of like he did in the last quarter of the Dolphins game, where he took off on a few runs and stuff, just to will them to win the game. But the Cleveland game, I would like the under when it was at like 38, but at like 32, I kind of still like the under, but it's just tough. That's so low to bet that number. So that's like a game where I would probably bet like the Texans team total under or something like that. But I don't see many points in that game with how Deshaun Watson's, hasn't been throwing the ball very well. Their offense has not been moving it. So you're just looking at like maybe, a big day for like, Nick Chubb or something like that. I mean, not the Texans. They're not playing the Texans, but the Saints, right? So you might be looking at like a big day for Nick Chubb, like a touchdown score or something like that. But I don't think Watson's certainly not going to light it up today in that weather. But some of those games, I mean, sometimes it's best to just sit back and watch. You don't have to bet every game. I prefer games where the conditions don't factor in, like the Cowboys-Eagles game, right? I have to worry about weather there. So, I think a lot of people's mistake is they overplay the weather too much, just like people overplay trends too much, they think, this trend that happened in this game is going to help this other game that they're going to bet, when one game doesn't have anything to do with the other. So I take every game, game by game, but I never let unless it's like pouring rain and 30-mile-per-hour winds, I don't let it factor too much in. But today in Cleveland, certainly it's going to have a factor there, but I'll probably steer clear of that game pretty much.
Locally here at 1 o'clock, the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think right now are the best team in the AFC, they're in ripe form. They just went to Tampa and gave Tampa a 17-0 lead and then just steamrolled them The funny thing is that they opened up 3.5 in Tampa, and now on a short week heading to Foxborough, they opened up as a 3-point favorite, currently 3 and a 41.5. Obviously, don't want to replay the ending of the Patriots last Sunday in Vegas. Do you smell rat here? Do you smell that number's a little too low, like trying to entice people to
Yeah.
Cincinnati?
I mean, I do think that the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks had like basically 5 unforced turnovers in that game. You know, the Bucks basically just gave the ball up 5 times. It was nothing like, I mean, a fumbled punt, a couple bad picks, a couple bad fumbles. I think the Bucks essentially handed the Bengals that game on a silver platter, right? This game today, I mean, you can't. I mean, realistically, at New England, you can't really make the Bengals a much bigger favorite than they are, because nobody would bet the Bengals probably at that number, and they don't want to get mopped up on Patriots money. And I personally think that loss probably is going to stick with the Patriots for a while. 7-7, the chance of making the playoffs is it's not very great right now. I mean, if they would have won the game last week against the Raiders, it's a whole different story. With how they lost that game, I think it's just like heartbreaking for them, and it'll just left a bad taste in their mouth, and and probably stay with them all week. But I've seen this story many times before, so I'm not really jumping to bet the Bengals, right? Although the Patriots have played better on the road than they have at home. I do think the Bengals probably win, but it's almost like you said, they're begging for Bengals money, and I just don't want to get trapped right there. But on the same token, I don't want to bet the Patriots because I don't like what I see with Mac Jones, right? Their receivers essentially aren't doing the job. Lots of talk this week about Bill Belichick like stepping down after this season, right? So we don't really know what the deal is, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And if I had to bet a money line, I'd probably take the Bengals. But personally, I'm just laying off on this game because I've seen it happen too many times before. But I just don't want to back the Patriots. With just how they're playing, not very good right now, and the Bengals are on the rise. I don't know about best in the AFC. I mean, I got them still behind Buffalo, but they're playing fantastic, and they have a lot of confidence right now. They just have a lot of, if you look at position by position on offense, I mean, they have better player every position than the Patriots, right? So, but laying more than 3 on the road, like I'm not really a fan of that. So probably just sit back and watch. It's going to be bad weather, but Cincinnati is used to bad weather as well. So if I, gun to my head, I'll take the Bengals, but not gonna bet it otherwise.
When we've talked in August, we talked in July, Buffalo tickets to win the AFC, Buffalo tickets to win the Super Bowl in hand. We talked about them being the number 1 seed. I think where I was leaning was currently in form. I still expect Buffalo to get the number 1 seed. I still think Kansas City's going to have to play Cincinnati. That winner will go to Buffalo, probably be about a 4 or 5 point underdog there. But here's the funny, too, with the Cincinnati Pats game today. Buffalo plays at Cincinnati next Monday night. Now, I'm not saying Cincinnati might be peeking ahead, because if they lose to the Patriots, then that game is meaningless anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about that yesterday. Somebody asked me about that. Could Cincinnati be looking ahead? But I don't think I don't think that I could see if they were the Eagles record right now, right? If they were 13-1, I could see like making a case for the Eagles looking ahead, right? But with the Bengals record, with their current seed, I don't really see them looking ahead. So, but you never know. I mean, this is a team that early in the year they had some bad losses. So, you never really know. So I mean, guys can just come out flat. They're coming off a big win in Tampa where I don't really like what I was hearing from their defense last week, how they're calling Tom Brady old man. Like when Tom Brady said they had a pretty tough defense, right? Like pretty tough. I mean, I think that's a compliment, right? When you say, oh, their defense is pretty tough, right? They took it as a offense. And then I just thought it was funny after the game, like Eli Apple talking trash to Tom Brady, right? Like calling him old man and stuff. Like Eli Apple, like, you're one of the worst DBs in the NFL. You've never won any Super Bowls. You're talking trash to Tom Brady. So that kind of, as a Brady fan, that kind of like annoyed me. They might be a little cocky going into New England today after last week's win. So, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots won. That's why I'm just, I'm not trying to bet against Bill Belichick, really. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. So, we'll have to see what happens. But I'm not chomping at the bit to take this game today.
Taking a quick peek at 4:00. I want to ask you one question here. Sunday night into before the lines were released, the Texans 7-point favorites against the Titans 7-point favorites against a pesky 1 win and 1 tie Texans team. Now Tannehill out for the year. That line is all the way down to 3. We saw on Thursday the surgeon Jaguars now, who play the Titans, I think, in 2 weeks with an opportunity with another Titan loss, not to just tie the division, but to win division. Is that an overreaction? I know Malik did not look good for Tennessee. They still have O. Henry. I don't know if Burks is playing, so they're a little banged up on wide receiving. Defense has been playing okay. Rob, is that an overreaction? Is there value in the Titans +3 and -3 today, or do you think Malik and company are like some of the other teams trending in the wrong direction?
I mean, I don't think Malik Willis is very good. I mean, he could be good, but he's just so young right now. We've seen him play a few times this year, not very good. And, with Tannehill out for the season now, I do think the line has moved this much. Like I think it's more so due to the weather, right? I mean, the high is 23. The wind chill is supposed to be -5 degrees, right? With a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind. So you have a dome team coming to play outside. That might be a little rough for the Texans, but I think offensively the Texans have been playing better than the Titans. Right, they're just throwing the ball. The Texans have nothing to lose. I think they opened that line a little too high. Right, like even with Tannehill, I'd probably have him like -5. Right, like especially in this weather. So I can see the move to Willis. -3, -3.5. That's still really the Texans have been playing better. So. I passed that game. I took Derrick Henry props, right, because it's going to be so cold. It's going to be -5 degrees wind chill. You have a rookie quarterback in there with very little experience who has struggled to throw the ball this year. And we know, Mike Vrabel likes to pound the ball, especially when they get the lead, right? He's just going to run. So I think we could see Derrick Henry with a lot of carries today. So, I played Derrick Henry to score a touchdown. I think it was like -150. And Derrick Henry rush yards over was like 111, going against one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. And he's been kind of cold lately. So I think this is a spot where Derrick Henry can pick it back up. It's not gonna feel good for those Texans defenders to get hit by Derrick Henry, running down the field when it's 5 degrees below zero, right? So I think this is a spot where Derrick Henry comes in, has a big game, and probably the game go under as well, right? Because if we see the Titans even get up by a touchdown, I think they'll just sit on the ball and play possession football. So I don't expect a high-scoring game right here. I like how the Texans have been playing lately. They've been showing some life. So honestly, I wouldn't if the Texans won this game, I wouldn't be shocked, right? But I just played Derrick Henry props this game, so whoever wins, and that's not really my concern. I'm just playing props right here, like you said, another cold weather game where I like to focus more on props, rushing props and stuff, than I like to do on the actual game itself.
4 o'clock. It's Minshew Mania time, and it's funny where the Cowboys -1 with a 50.5. Hurts announced out. That number went to 6. Now I'm looking right now 4.5 with a 48. The talk all week is how the MVP market. Jalen had gone from a favorite now to, I think Pat Mahomes is now the favorite, and some of the experts with the big platforms and the check marks are almost calling for conspiracy here. I think the same thing happened to Carson Wentz. They said if this was Pat Mahomes who got injured with the MVP favorite, this would never happen. Listen, I'll say this right now to anyone that's watching and listening. Before these games start today, Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Unfortunately, in the NFL, there's only 17 games. There's not like 162 in baseball. There's not like 80 in baseball or in basketball or hockey. So every game is huge. So if the Eagles win today or the Vikings lose, they got the number 1 seed. You might not see Jalen for the rest of the year. Did his body of work deserve the MVP leading up to today? Damn straight it did. But you still got 3 more games. So what Pat Mahomes does, what Josh Allen does, what Joe Burrow do does mean something. But getting into that game itself, are you buying Minshew Mania or the Dallas Cowboys last 2 weeks faced the Texans and the Jags, and they supposedly had the best defense in the land. And let me just say, they got boat raced both games.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I could see him being the MVP, but certainly nobody would take Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, right? Like if you had to take a quarterback, I think it has to do with more of the Phillies schedule, right? Like I think for Josh Allen, for example, he's playing in the hardest division in the league this year, right? The AFC East, pretty much they could, up to a few weeks ago, they could have every team make the playoffs. And Patrick Mahomes, the stuff he just does on a weekly basis, you're just in awe, what he does. So I think Hurts had the easiest road to get the MVP, right? The most friendly schedule and opposing defenses he's going up not that great. But in this league, it's like for Hurts MVP tickets, I think my partner BTB Jesse gave it out 30-1 in June. Gave out Hurts 30-1, and I was like, Jalen Hurts, and he's from Philly, right? So I'm thinking it's just a homer bet, and it's a catch-22 for Jalen Hurts MVP tickets right now, because if they go in today and beat the Cowboys with Minshew, who's more than capable, we've seen Minshew play great. I think Minshew's a pretty good quarterback. He's probably one of the best backups in the league, that's for sure, right? And I think he's got a lot of I think Minshew has got a lot of motivation this week, with Mike Leach passing away and, speaking at Mike Leach's funeral, giving the eulogy and stuff. I think Minshew, he really wants to play well. And I think the team also wants to play well for him also. So say Minshew has a huge game, they beat the Cowboys, and then people are like, oh, you know what? Like the Eagles, they did the same thing with Minshew as they did with Hurts, right? So it's like a catch-22 for the Hurts MVP tickets, right? So, and then if Patrick Mahomes goes and has a big game, if Josh Allen has the big game, that's why we saw Hurts go down to I think it went to plus 550 for MVP. So, it's just a tough one. You're going up against 2 of the best quarterbacks probably of all time. So it's just tough, right? It's like you could be Steph Curry, and every year LeBron's getting the MVP. What can you do about it, really? It's just tough. So I think people are sleeping on Gardner Minshew for sure. I don't really think between Minshew and Dak Prescott, there's not that big of a gap. I don't like what I see in Dak Prescott since his injury. He seems to, for me, when Dak Prescott throws the ball now, he looks like Peyton Manning in Denver almost. He floats the ball. All of his out routes are floaters. He doesn't really have much zip on the ball. I don't know what it is, but he throws too many interceptions, and the Cowboys make too many mistakes. I'm not a big Mike McCarthy fan, so for me, the Cowboys are pretty much out-coached anytime they take the field. And people are saying that the Eagles don't have anything to play for today, like they can win the division next week. Well, you know what? They can win the division this week and beat Dallas, who they hate, right? They're playing their rival. They hate the Cowboys. So there's nothing more than the Eagles want than to beat the Cowboys. Like Nick Sirianni is not like, hey, we can lose this game today, no problem. He wants to beat the Cowboys' ass. So I wouldn't be shocked if Philly went into Dallas and won this game, especially with the Cowboys who like you said, they should have lost to the Texans, right? They lost last week to the Jags. They've been blowing leads in every single game, making dumb mistakes every game. So, if the Eagles went in there and smacked the Cowboys today, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I think that's why we've seen the line go from 6 down to 4, right? It would not shock me at all. So, I think people are, sleeping on the Eagles, and especially Gardner Minshew. They're acting like Gardner Minshew is like Taylor Heineke coming into the game. I think people aren't giving the Minshew the respect that Minshew Mania deserves.
The 8:15 game, Raiders traveled to Pittsburgh. I had an opening number Sunday night of 1-41. I'm going to say consensus right now is 2-38. We know the record of Mike Tomlin and his Steelers in the month of December. The passing of Franco Harris, of course, when they were going to retire his number. They don't do that in Pittsburgh. The anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Now, I'm assuming 99% of the people watching and listening our show, or who will be watching and listening, Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris, what the hell are you talking about? But Google it. It was when football was football, that's for sure. But again, I'm thinking about all this now. You're going to get, especially early, an inspired, fired up Steelers team. They're the headliner on Christmas Eve night, but the actual opening number of a 1 with a dome team traveling east, playing outdoors on a cold, frigid Christmas Eve night, coming off a miracle win last Sunday. What's your thoughts on this game?
I think we've seen David Carr play good in cold weather before, or Derek Carr play good in cold weather before. He played good in Cincinnati last year in the playoffs in cold weather. I think he played well in New England before when it was snowing. So I don't, the weather is not really too much of a concern for me here. Both teams have to play in the weather, right? And these guys, I think a big misconception is most of these teams have like indoor practice facilities, right? So they're not practicing like in 5 feet of snow during the week, right? Like this is one big conception that people have. And, the Raiders have been streaking. The Raiders, their record should be a lot better than it is. They lost a few heartbreakers. They've blown so many 17-point leads this year. I mean, it's crazy, but I think this Raiders team's a lot better than their record says they are. And the Steelers, to me, they're all over the place, right? You lose they've had some bad losses at home to the Jets and stuff. And they go last week and they go against a hot Carolina team who just smoked the Seahawks in Seattle, and they smoked the Panthers in Carolina. So for me, it's like you don't really know which Steelers team's going to show up, right? So it's kind of a tough game. I would lean the Raiders, just because I think the Raiders are hot right now. They're rolling. And I like what I'm not usually a big Carr fan, but I like what I've seen from him this year. I like, I like Jacobs. I think the Raiders, they've just been doing a good job. And I think, it's like I said, I think they're a lot better than their record says, because I think they've blown more 17-point leads this year in 1 year than they blew them in the last 40 combined. right? So I think McDaniels, I think it just took him a while to get, into the swing of things and stuff like that. Earlier in the season, I thought like this was a guy that should be fired like after 5 games, right? I think how they beat the Patriots last week give them a lot of momentum, right? We saw them, running to the end zone, celebrating in the end zone. The Derek Carr, they're going crazy on the sidelines, right? I think the Raiders just have a lot of momentum, and I don't really want to bet against that. So this game would be like Raiders plus the points or a pass for me, especially if they get up like this is Trubisky playing, or it doesn't even matter who's starting. Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, they're both pretty similar actually back there. So I think the Raiders are just a much better team. They got all the advantages at the skill positions for me. So except head coach, obviously, I think Mike Tomlin. I think we have to recognize him as like one of the. He takes a lot of shit, but I think we have to recognize him as one of the best coaches in the NFL. I mean, the guy seemingly goes 500 at worst with like rosters that Mike McCarthy would get 3-4 wins out of. So I think Mike Tomlin does a great job. So Mike Tomlin's always like the great equalizer for me, but I like to look at teams' current form, and I like how the Raiders have been playing. So I would lean to the Raiders in this one.
8:00 tonight, Robert.
I don't know why this game is at 8. Like, why couldn't why couldn't we see like the Cowboys Eagles at 8? Why do we have to see? I feel like it's the same teams that play over and over in prime time, right? Like the Steelers always, right? Like it's the Vikings in prime time always. Right? Why can't we ever have the Cowboys play prime time too, but why can't the Eagles Cowboys 8 p.m. Saturday night, Christmas Eve? That should be a prime time game, right? The viewers would probably be twice as high for that game as it's going to be for this game. So it's totally mind-boggling, these matchups we're picking for prime time this year, but it is what it is. I can't complain about Saturday Christmas Eve football because I'm thinking about last year Christmas Eve. I mean, we had the Hawaii. I was waiting all day for the Hawaii Bowl last year, right? And if I recall, it got canceled. It got canceled because of COVID. I was literally waiting all day to bet this one bowl game because nothing else was on, and it got canceled. And I was like, "This sucks, right? It's just terrible. You're waiting all day to bet the one game that's on, and it gets canceled." So, having all these NFL games today, I mean, I love it.
Well, we'll talk right now before we go to tomorrow. We'll talk right now. Middle Tennessee State versus San Diego State in the Hawaii Bowl. I had opening numbers of San Diego State of 5, Middle Tennessee State. 5 and a 48. I'm seeing now the public taking San Diego State to 6.5 with the 47.5. Any interest there, Rob?
I think my partner Jesse gave out. He just gave out San Diego State. For me, I mean, I'm not jumping at the bit to bet the Aztecs. Middle Tennessee, they smoked the Hurricanes this year, right? They smoked my Hurricanes, but then they went out and they lost 3 in a row after that. So, I've seen Middle Tennessee play a lot this year, and this line's fishy to me, right? I wouldn't have.
You could have power issues here.
I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, we're back.
You want to throw us. Yeah, Middle Tennessee State. Like I wouldn't. Like I think, in my opinion, with how San Diego State closed the year, scoring 3 points against Air Force, I would have this game more of like a -3, right? The -6.5. That kind of, for me, that kind of says like they're begging people to take Middle Tennessee State, right? So I would lean to San Diego State because this line is just begging people for Middle Tennessee State money. So that's a big red flag to me right there. So we could see San Diego State roll but I just don't trust their offense. But the line to me, just looking at the line, says San Diego State rolls. But it's not a good game. It's not a good game to watch. Basically, nobody's going to watch this game over the NFL tonight. That's for sure.
Well, Christmas Day again used to be the NBA had all the airwaves, 4 or 5 games. Tomorrow, there's 3 NFL games. I'm just going to jump over to here for 1 second. There is 5 NBA games and there's 5 college basketball games. They have the Hawaii tournament going on as we speak. So I'm going to head over to the NFL on Sunday. And we got, 1 o'clock is going to be a fun game. You got Green Bay at Miami. Currently, this number is moved. I had a 5.5 with a 47. Now it's 3.5 with a 49.5 50. So they're expecting some offense. I know a lot of people think that the Packers are still alive, and they got a lot of people thinking the Packers might not just cover this game, but win this game. Unfortunately, the 4:30 game is Denver and the Rams. And Denver's a 3-point favorite at the Rams. Listen, I know Elway's not playing, Ferragamo's not playing, Eric Dickerson isn't playing. I know one thing. I probably won't tune that one game in. And then at 8:20 is Tampa at Arizona. Again, Tom getting his butt kicked last Sunday against an Arizona team that has quit. They got no one. They're all banged up. They're hurt. A 4.5 with a 41. Now a 7.5 with a 40.5. So let's start in Miami and Green Bay on Sunday.
Sure.
On Sunday.
Sure. Before we go to the Sunday, I just wanted to say I was going to give out one first touchdown score for Saturday today. I just took a sprinkle on Isaiah Pacheco plus 700 for the Chiefs to be the first touchdown score. So I've been doing pretty good this year at first touchdown scores. So I took Pacheco plus 700 first touchdown score. So the Dolphins game on Sunday. I like Mike McDaniels. I like the Dolphins offense. The Packers have not been playing well, obviously, this year. It's documented. And the Dolphins have lost 3 in a row, coming off some tough games. I mean, playing the 49ers, Chargers, and the Bills. And I think the Dolphins are going to be happy to be home after a month, first game back at home. And I think they should smoke the Packers. They don't have those receivers to worry about on the Packers, right? I think our D-line can sack Rodgers a few times. And Mike McDaniels, he's had a lot of success against the Packers with the 49ers, right? So I think he'll expose all their weaknesses. And I like the Dolphins to roll this game, actually. So I'll probably be on the Dolphins for a couple units at least.
You said their first game back at home in a while?
Yeah, they were on a 3-game road trip, and they went to San Fran. They stayed in California for a week at UCLA, and they played the Chargers out there. They didn't travel back in between. Came home and went right back to Buffalo last week. So they haven't played home in 4 weeks. So this will be their first home game in 4 weeks. The weather will be in the 50s, so it might be hot for the Packers. But it's going to be a nice, beautiful day there, probably. It's probably in the 50s and sunny. It'll be the nicest, probably one of the nicest games of the year in the NFL. And I think the Dolphins will get the job done because they're just two teams headed in opposite directions. I know the Packers, they're looking a little better lately. But for all intents and purposes, their season's over. So I like Mike McDaniel. I think what he's done with the Dolphins offense this year, how dynamic they are and stuff. I think they can take advantage of a lot of the weaknesses of the Packers defense. And the teams the Dolphins have been losing to, was the 49ers with the great defense. And Tua was missing both of his tackles, right? Starting tackles were out for the game. Then we went to the Chargers, played the worst game of the year we've played so far by far. But still had a chance to win it. And then we went to Buffalo, probably another one of the games of the year, right? We played Buffalo very tough. It was right up in the air, and Buffalo kicked the winning field goal with no time left. I think Dolphins they've righted the ship, and I think they're hungry for a win after 3 straight losses. I think this is like the get right game for them. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them blow out Green Bay, to be honest. So I like the Dolphins.
Do you have a prop? Do you have anything, or is this just a thanks for playing on Christmas Day? Let's have dinner at 4:00 or 4:30. Denver and the Rams. I mean, I have nothing.
Nah. Yeah, Denver versus the Rams. I mean, that's a game that honestly, like, the viewers won't be coming out in droves for that one. I mean, that's just a game where I really have no interest in taking. I'd probably take the Rams, to be honest. Denver's been so bad. I just I don't know how is Denver. I don't even care who's playing. Like, how is Denver a favorite over anybody these days?
It's because Russell Wilson is probable. That's the only reason.
And he's terrible. I think Brett Rippon probably played better in his short time than Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson, I think at 3-11 or whatever there, I think he's pretty much checked out on the entire season. I mean, he's been so bad where they're talking about, like, they only had to pay $38 million or whatever to get rid of him after this season. So that's got to be one of the most disastrous trades in NFL history for what it produced. So I'm just not digging Russ. I think Russ is cooked, and right now you couldn't pay me to watch a Broncos game, right? I mean, the Rams look dynamic compared to the Broncos right now, right? So you could not pay me to watch that game, and I don't think you will pay me, because I doubt. If I don't take the Rams, I doubt I'll be betting that game at all, to be honest. So,
last game, Rob, Tampa at Arizona. That's the 8:20 game. Initially, I had a 4.5 for the 41. Now up to 7.5 for the 40.5. Bet Online has it up to 8. We already know about Arizona, the coaching problems, Murray out, offensively, blah. Defensively, even worse. By default, actually, Tom will have in front of him, did the Panthers win? What's going on in the division? By default, it looks like that the Bucs will win that division. Most likely will host the Dallas Cowboys. I know the whole world's on Tampa. How are you going to slice it? Money line parlays, teasers, first half, first quarter, whatever it is. How would you dissect this game, or how would you tell the listeners how to dissect this game?
Listen, I think Arizona's on their third string quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a coach who essentially, he's got to be a lame duck coach, right? Like Cliff Kingsbury, at least he's good looking, right? Because, I mean, that's really all he's got right now. I mean, he's got his looks and he's got money. So I guess it's not too bad to be Cliff Kingsbury. But outside of that, he's a college coordinator, right? He's a college coordinator that's been an NFL coach. Murray, they paid Murray the King's ransom to be there. So they got to keep Murray. And I think Murray sucks too. But, they paid Murray so much that apparently Murray doesn't like Kingsbury now. We've seen him argue on the sidelines, so I think Kingsbury's obviously going to be gone. Colt McCoy got injured last week, so now you're down to your third string quarterback. And like you said, the Tampa Bay has a chance to wrap up the division. How Tampa Bay lost last week, that 5 straight turnovers in the second half, giving the game to the Bengals. I think Brady is going to be pissed about that. I'm sure Brady's been, drilling it every practice this week. Like, guys, we blew the lead. Like, Brady can tell these guys, listen, we can play with anybody, right? We were up 17-0 on the Bengals, right? We can still play with anybody. We just got to win this game. We'll host the playoff game, like you said, against the Cowboys or whatever. And we're just 3 wins from the Super Bowl. So I think Brady can do an incredible sales job to his team to get them pumped up to play this game. So, I think the Buccaneers just hammer them. I could see the Buccaneers winning by 20-plus points because Arizona, nothing to play for. Lame duck coach, third-string quarterback. How long until the receivers quit when the quarterback's not getting them the ball? So I just think Arizona's in a tough spot. And I think primetime game, Brady's so good in primetime. I think the Bucs just hammer them and make them pay back, for what they did to the Bengals last week. So I like the Bucs in that one.
In Long Island, in the garage with a space heater, we can't thank you enough.
There's a lift, see?
Holy
There's
what is that?
It's my father-in-law. He's got a Prowler. I think it's a Dodge Prowler. There's a Corvette, the Stingray Corvette. I think it's the first Stingray Corvette, the new one that was made a couple years ago. He's got a lift in here though. He's a big car guy. He has a few car centers. So, that's his stuff. Like I said, there's no AC in here, so I had to bring a little space heater. So I've been pretty warm during this, but I'm just happy that the Wi-Fi must be better up here than in South Florida because I have to hop on a hardwired connection at my house in Florida. Seems to work pretty well right now, so hopefully it warms up. It doesn't look like it's gonna, and I will be on to Pennsylvania tomorrow night. So if I do the show Monday, it'll be live from Pennsylvania. And actually, Dan Alexander, a newbie or whatever, he lives in a town that my uncle lives in that we're going to. So I was supposed to see him last year. When I went up there, but he had COVID. So maybe this year, I'll run into him. Maybe ask him if he wants to come on the show as well.
Absolutely. It was funny because Thursday I sent him the link. We do a Thursday show at 2:30. And he's like, OMG, I'm in the Poconos. So I don't know if he was in the Poconos for the weekend, Christmas Eve. I'll definitely reach out to him for Monday to see what's going on there. Rob, the crawler's been going the whole time. Your followers are amazing. I'm just going to talk out loud for 1 second. I got 10, 15 new followers from you. I will follow back. I promise. Anyone here that doesn't know who I am, just follow me at EC Sports Invest. You can send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. I love to talk sports. I love to do what we're doing here. I have to say, hats off to your followers. On Monday, we cracked 30,000 views for the show. Maybe this Christmas Eve here, we can do it again. We got some big stuff brewing, you and I, for 2023. But for the newbies, tell them where to follow you or what you got going on your website and where they can follow you.
You know what the thing about views is? Most people love me here. I get a few haters, but they still watch at least. So at least they're counting towards those views. It's been a fun show. Monday's show and this show was pretty fun. So we went for almost an hour actually today. I think Monday was like an hour and a half. So yeah, it's been fun. But you guys can find me on my website, beatingthebookie.com, or on Twitter. We'll always have a free play cooking stuff like that. So we've just got football right now. NHL's on a break until the 27th. So we've just got football. And I gave out a free first touchdown score, Isaiah Pacheco, plus 700 earlier. So if you're just tuning in now, go back and catch it. But that's about it. And maybe we'll see you guys again on Monday. But, it's been another great show. And in 2023, we should be doing more of these. So I'm looking forward to it.
Safe travels. Enjoy Christmas Eve. Enjoy Christmas Day. Safe trip to PA. I'll reach out to you on Monday, and we'll run this back based upon your schedule on Monday morning, Monday afternoon, whatever suits best for you.
Sounds good. Have a good have a good Christmas, a good Christmas Eve. So we've got a party here tonight. My in-laws have a party with like 60 people. So it should be fun. They're all Jets fans. So we had a box last night for my brother-in-law got a box last night for the Islanders game. It was real nice, but I was the only one. They're all Islanders fans. I had my Panthers jersey on, and there was a box right next to us with like 10 girls in it, and it was 4-1 Islanders, and they were chanting to me like take the bus, like get out of here and stuff. So actually, my father-in-law just came in here right now. He's probably mad I'm in his garage, with the heater on and stuff. He has bad OCD, but yeah, we're just getting everything ready for the party tonight. So it should be fun.
We'll let you go. So everyone, follow me at EC Sports Invest, and obviously B2B at Beating the Bookie. We wish everyone a happy, safe.
Mike, this party started a little soon.
Hey, there you go, Blue Moon. We're looking for sponsors here. So Blue Moon, if you see us, if you watch the show, reach out to us. Or Bud Light. There we go. Keep them coming.
Or Malibu,
Malibu. Blue Moon, Bud Light, or Malibu. Come on down.
Or if you're more sophisticated, you got some wine. I don't know. Not really my stuff. I'm not really. I have an allergy to beer, actually, so. But for the right price, I can drink it.
Everyone, enjoy yourselves. Have a great, happy holiday, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and we will see everyone real soon.
All right.